Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're digging into a holiday most of us think we know, Valentine's Day. We got a request from a listener to take a closer look at the history behind it, and let me tell you, to get to the heart of this holiday, we got to go way deeper than, a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
You got that right. Get ready for a few surprises because the origins of Valentine's Day are a lot older and, let's just say, more intense than a lot of people realize. We're talking ancient Rome here.
Ancient Rome, huh? Not exactly what comes to mind when I think romantic candlelit dinners. The article mentions something about a festival called Lupercalia.
Ah, Lupercalia. Yeah, this was a festival they held every February 15th, and let's just say it wasn't your typical Hallmark holiday. We're talking fertility rituals, animal sacrifices, and even, wait for it, ritual whipping.
Okay, whoa, hold on. Ritual whipping. Things just took a turn. Tell me more about this. Like, how did that even work?
Well, they used whips made from goat skin, believe it or not.
Mm.
And the whole idea was they'd whip young people, which they thought would, help with fertility. It was all tied into this whole honoring of Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture.
Goatskin whips for fertility. I mean, hey, different time, I guess. They weren't afraid to get creative, were they? But I get it. Back then, a good harvest was make or break. I can see why they'd want to pull out all the stops.
It really was a big deal. And it wasn't just about, like, the food supply. It was also about the continuation of the Roman family and, by extension, Roman society. It was a whole big thing.
So from goatskin whips to, like, greeting cards, how in the world did we get from Lupercalia in ancient Rome to what we celebrate today? I'm guessing this is where good old Saint Valentine comes in, right? Wouldn't be a very good history lesson without a little mystery.
You are. There's actually a lot we don't know about St. Valentine. There are even competing legends about who he was and what he actually did. One story says he was a priest and he secretly performed weddings for Roman soldiers, the ones who were forbidden to marry.
Oh, secret forbidden weddings. Okay, now that's a story I can get behind. What's the other story? Give me the juicy details.
Okay, so the other one says that Valentine actually healed his jailer's daughter, cured her from blindness, and then, get this, on the day he was executed, he sent her a letter and signed it, Your Valentine.
Okay, so we may not know exactly what he did, but both of those stories are, seriously romantic. I can see why he got connected to a lovey-dovey holiday.
For sure. It's like, no matter which story you hear, they all have one thing in common. Saint Valentine defies authority in the name of love. That's an idea that's captured imaginations, for like centuries?
It really has, and it makes you wonder, like, what traditions from our time will stick around? Will future generations look back at how we do romance and be like, wow, legendary?
Who knows? Though hopefully they can do without the threat of imprisonment, or execution.
Yeah, good point. Noted. Okay, but how did Valentine's Day go from all this, like, whispers of secret weddings and, love letters from prison to, like, all the cards, the Valentine's Day cards we see everywhere today? The article said things really started taking off in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, you're right. The Middle Ages is when Valentine's Day really got tied to this whole romantic love thing. Geoffrey Chaucer, the famous English poet, he actually played a big part in that.
So Chaucer was, what, like the original Cupid, making love blossom all over England.
Haha, in a way, yeah. You see, he wrote all these poems that connected February 14th with romantic love. And you got to remember, back then, poets, they had a huge influence on how people saw the world. So when Chaucer wrote about courtly love and romance and tied it to Valentine's Day, people paid attention. And it wasn't just the poets either. I mean, during the Middle Ages, royal courts actually started holding these big, elaborate feasts, these celebrations, and it was all centered around love and chivalry, all to celebrate Valentine's Day.
Okay, so maybe not quite the same as those heart-shaped boxes of chocolates we see around now. But speaking of, I gotta ask, when did those mass-produced Valentine's Day cards come into the picture? They seem so, I don't know, ingrained in how we think about Valentine's Day.
Well, for a long time, people were still into those handwritten love letters and poetry. That stayed popular for centuries, actually. It wasn't until the Victorian era, in the 19th century, that things really changed. So they made all these advancements in printing and mass production, and suddenly, boom, anyone could send a Valentine's Day card.
And that, my friends, is how we ended up with those picked-over aisles at the drugstore every February. But I gotta admit, even with all the, like, commercial craziness of it all, there's a kind of sweet side to it, you know? Like, who doesn't get a little kick out of getting a card that says, "Be mine"?
It's true. And it's not all about the cards and chocolates anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the article even mentioned how Valentine's Day is celebrated all over the world now. And, each culture kind of puts its own spin on things.
It's gone global, huh? See, I love that. So
Yeah.
it's not just us with our cheesy teddy bears that everybody loves to hate.
Sure.
What are some of the ways Valentine's Day is celebrated in other parts of the world?
Well, in some places, it's less about romantic love and more about, like, showing appreciation for, friends and family. Like, in Japan, women actually give chocolates to their male colleagues. That's a tradition there.
Interesting.
And then there are things like, those love locks that people attach to bridges, like in Paris. They're meant to be these symbols of, unbreakable bonds.
Those love locks, that's what I'm talking about. Way more romantic than like fighting over the last chocolate in the box, right? Okay, so we've got this holiday, right, with roots in ancient Rome, a mysterious saint, centuries of traditions, and now it's global. It's a lot to unpack.
It really makes you think, right? I mean, something so seemingly simple, just a day for love, and it becomes this whole complex, multifaceted thing. It's more than just a Hallmark holiday, wouldn't you say?
Way more. And who knew digging into the history of Valentine's Day could be so fascinating? I'll never look at a heart-shaped box of chocolates the same way again.
That's the point. It's a good reminder that even our most, I don't know, familiar traditions, they have these long, rich histories full of, twists and turns. So next time those Valentine's Day displays start popping up, take a second. Think about the journey. From like ancient rituals to love letters to, these global celebrations. It's a pretty amazing story.
It really is. And hey, who knows? Maybe someday our Valentine's Day traditions will be a part of the story, right?
Oh,
Well, on that note, a huge thank you to our listener for sending in this amazing deep dive suggestion and to you for, exploring it all with us today. Until next time.